Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Recruitment Rumble. We have two champions of hiring joining us today, debating over who owns candidate experience. In the red corner, John Rose.
Yes.
Hello. The red corner out of Waterloo, Ontario. John is from Resourceful. John, give us a 5-second heads up. What do you do and who do you do it for?
I'm a people person. I deal with people, look after people for businesses and individually around wherever they are, whether it's in Canada, the US, wherever they are in the world. I look
Fantastic.
at that. I'm not inclusive. I'm inclusive, not exclusive.
There you go. Out of the blue corner, Vancouver, Canada. Probably have better weather than us in Ottawa today. From Seven Geese, Robert St-Jacque.
All right. Well, thank you. So, yeah, like John, I'm a people person. So, spent 25 years or so in HR, and have been, recruiting. So, I've probably in my career have recruited indirectly or directly about 20,000 people.
20,000.
And so now I work in HR tech here in Vancouver. But happy to be here discussing with my very thoughtful opponent. And let's get ready to rumble. Let's go.
Here we go. So attendees, you have a big say in the outcome of today's event. This is what is up for grabs. Look how shiny that bad boy is. It fits up to 52-inch waist, so I hope you've been eating. Robert, you want to coin toss backstage, so you'll go first. The format here, I'm going to open it up. You have a chance to respond. I'll put a minute on the clock, and then John, you can rebuttal and go for it. So Robert, high level, who owns candidate experience?
High level, I think the business or the line manager or hiring manager owns the candidate experience. Why is that? So really quickly, starting very broadly, I think the goal of HR is to make itself redundant. I think it's an asymptote. I think you never get there, like chasing mastery, because we're dealing with human beings, right? Human beings are crazy things. So, if HR is trying to make itself redundant, well, what are we trying to do? So we're trying to empower the manager-employee relationship and intervene as little as possible. So if we're doing our job right, we're architecting, we're creating system, we're training people, we're empowering people, more specifically managers and employees to do it themselves so we don't have to don your gear and serve as referee between them. If we focus a little bit more on the recruitment part of it, again, who owns the employee, the relationship? It should be the manager. And so, it's one of the recruitment KPIs that is becoming more prominent, thankfully, is quality of hire rather than time of hire and cost of hire and all these type of things, quality of hire. And again, it's hard to have accountability if you don't have ownership. So I think the hiring manager should own the concept of quality of hire. And that means many elements. Now, HR can help. You can help write a great success profile rather than boring JD. You can help a lot of these things, but I think ownership needs to sit with the line manager or the hiring manager at the end.
John Rose, line managers are busy. Some of them can't even make time for their employees. They don't do one-on-ones, performance reviews, all that nonsense. Should managers really own this?
Hell shit, no, Sherlock. No way should managers.
Whoa, big words.
HR even own this. The business does not own it. The candidates own it. The people themselves own the relationship, own the reputation of driving forward and going forward. What's it like? People say, what's it like working in the business, in the company? You look at Glassdoor, you've got all these other platforms, but if you give it purely down to the hiring manager, no one will get hired. Because if you're in the startup world, every 30 minutes they change their minds. Every hour they go for a coffee break, a fuzzy drink, green sludgy drinky type break, whatever else, and it all goes out the window. So you've got to put it down to the people, and you've got to get the right people in there. One thing I will agree with Bob on that is HR, and really it's talent now. It's about people engagement. Who are the people engagement partners for the company that's going to align the candidates with the business needs? The business needs are very important, but most hiring managers don't know how to hire. They don't know how to interview because they've not been trained, they've not been educated, they've not been experienced in doing it. So we have got to do that. So the candidates have also, in some ways, got to take responsibility and ownership for the interviews. They've got to be prepared to ask the hard questions of these people, saying, why? What are you trying to do? What problem are you trying to solve? And can I do it or not? I'm going to walk away.
John, I don't know. I think every problem in the world can be solved with avocado on toast, and I think that's the one reference you missed.
I love it. I love it. I'd slap it in your face if we were close enough.
Oh, no. Well, you nodded your head. He hit you pretty good there. What do you think?
You know, at a couple levels, you know, the piece is, I don't think, you know, by saying, hey, look, you know, they aren't trained, they aren't capable. Well, that's HR's job. Train them, make them capable, right? And, you know, hand off as much as possible. You know, I get it. And you know what, when I was in, you know, recruitment, I played the game too. So what did I used to do? I threw up KPIs, right? And I just didn't put up the KPIs, time to hire. I said, hey, you gave us a spec. How long till we advertise it? Less than 24 hours. How long till we turned around a short list of clients? 3 days. Look at that. Then I put up the next KPI. How long it took for the hiring manager to come back to us? 17 days, okay? There's where the problem was. So I do agree that they haven't been trained, haven't been developed. They don't understand some of the processes and so on. But then to say, okay, they're a bunch of idiots, let us do it. No, I think what you need to do is say, look, you know, they're not idiots. They're really smart, busy people. They just, how should I say, are focused on the wrong priorities. And the priorities should be in bringing individuals into the business, the right individuals with the right skill set, the right mindset, bringing them in and training them on how to do that, whether it be the process or going through some of the interviewing selection/deselection processes and helping them through that and speed up the process. I've been lucky to work at startups where, you know, one startup, you know, I was employee number 28 and we grew to 400 within a year. Wow. And, you know, and at the same time, typical HR, right? I was given no budget, no, no support. I had to push it out and, you know, push it out to the business and, you know, needs must. I had no money and I had targets to hit. So, you know, that's where, if you want to know where my motivation is from, my experience, it's from having to do that, where I had no other choices. And I had to rely on the hiring managers and the business. And what I saw results in terms of quality of individuals, I saw, you know, once they bought in, once they were trained, once they saw it as a priority, then I saw the quality really go up.
And that's one of the things. Do you think it's time now for us as a business to look at where HR, where recruitment sits in the business process models, where really HR, when it changed from personnel management, now I'm showing my age now, is personnel was all about operational delivery, operational success for the people and for the business. HR was brought in to be strategic developers to work with the C-suite, but they've never grasped that. 90%, I'm probably being kind, 90% have never grasped the fact that they're supposed to be strategic rather than operational. And it has changed. The market has changed, irrespective of the industry, whether you're tech, whether you're manufacturing, whether you're service, everything has changed and how you're done and the responsibilities. A manager, from my recollection, and nothing has changed, has three components to it: managing people, managing activities, responsibilities, and managing finance. But they also have a fourth one: managing hiring and firing. How many of them have the ability to hire and fire on a sound?
John, Robert says that the goal of HR is to make HR redundant. The business should know how to do it itself, that kind of thing. If that's the case, does that mean in your perspective that your opinions could lie together, assuming talent acquisition was removed from HR as a separate function?
I think HR, as the way it's done today, should go. It's got to change. You've got to move on. So I agree 100%. And I think you're right, John. Talent acquisition, as we call it now, but it's now people engagement. How do you attract? How do you engage? How do you retain? It's a bigger component. There's more activities involved. So that should be a separate business entity reporting into COO, CMO, but certainly not HR, because this is about people before they get into the company, or if they're looking at leaving the company. You want that independent voice, independent eyes on the game that's saying to these people, you're not happy, why? You have to let us know what has changed, what has gone on from what you were 12 months ago or 8 months ago. Is the job the same today as what you were told it was going to be 12 months ago? If it's not, then you've got to change something, you've got to do it. And HR can't do it because they've got skin in the game for the business and skin in the game to keep the matrix, their numbers going.
Bob,
pure numbers.
Yeah.
Bob, you opened up before. You played the game. You made the metrics work. What do you think?
I think it starts with, again, the ownership, but let's push it a little bit. This is what, it starts from the top. So I tell the CEO, you own this. You own the numbers. Okay. If we're going to grow by 100 people this year, you own it. And specifically, what does that mean? You are accountable. You're not responsible. Your hiring manager is going down. They're responsible. You are accountable for us hitting these numbers. Now, for the senior folks, you are my closer. You agree to make yourself available to close this deal. It is really difficult for a client or a candidate to say no when the CEO of the company calls you up and says, will you help us do X, right? I mean, it's an amazing piece, but the CEO needs to own it. If the C-level or vice presidents or director levels, next level down, see the CEO own it, they make time to close candidates, even in some cases lower level, right? I'm not saying get them involved in the whole process. Hey, CEO, you're doing this. I booked you a call for 15 minutes at 4 o'clock tomorrow. This is what you're doing. So again, it's the level of ownership shown by time, by effort, by passion in that piece, right? And then there's no excuse. The CEO is making time. Mr. Vice President, Miss Vice President, you've got to make time. Directors, managers, all the way down to even team members. Within the organization, serving on panels, giving feedback to the hiring managers. Is this person, would they do well in the team? Did you miss something? And so on and so forth. So again, I think at the end of the day, we need to push out a little bit of the HR responsibility aspect and accountability and push it more towards the business. At the same time, we can't drop it on them, right? It's got to be phased in. They've got to be trained. It's got to start from the leadership, like anything change management exercise. It's got to start from the leadership down. It's got to be sustained, and it's got to be consistent. And you've got to slowly improve over time. More training. So when I did these, it was quarterly. They got more and more and more and more training, going all the way through.
John, we got 2 minutes left. Closing thoughts.
I think Bob and I are both on a very similar track and pathway, so it's a very close match on there. But I think it's right, it must start at the top. But one of the problems happens is the larger the organization gets, the more the hiring managers get disconnected from the top, because they have got responsibilities. They've got to deliver so much code, they've got to deliver so many widgets, whatever they've got to do, that's their primary focus, because they're above them are saying, where's my numbers? I need to make my numbers to look good to the CEO, to CFO, COO, whoever their bosses are. The other thing is, hiring managers aren't taught to hire to replace them. To hire a person 2 or 3 steps ahead of them so they can move up and go on and go forth. They're not encouraged to do that. There's a lot of self-preservation involved. It's human nature. Unfortunately, that's where the business is problem.
There you go. All right, everybody. We're running out of time. I'm going to allow the panelists to vote. Who won? Who's coming home with this?
Me. Rob.
Hey, the numbers are rolling in. The numbers are rolling in. I don't know, guys. It's pretty tight. We've got almost all reporting in now. 71% are in. What are you guys thinking? What are you guys feeling?
Because I'm looking at Alex Hatton's comment and question on if HR is removed from the process. How can we best ensure culture remains priority versus hiring KPIs? I think by removing HR, you will get the natural culture of the environment to come forward, not a forced culture that is promoted through HR in my mind. And that hiring KPIs will be set by the hiring manager then, for the role, the opportunity, and the position going forward and deliverable on the project.
There you go.
Good question.
We're running out of time. Who wants to know who wins this?
We all want to know.
Give
Come
me a
on.
raise your hand. The winner, based on the audience participation of the Pivot and Edge Tribal Hiring Championship belt, of course, is